Letter to Shan, Planet Earth. Message to be disseminated to all humans. Greetings to our friends Shan, Planet Earth. Our presence and our intention become increasingly clear to an increasing number of people without prejudice. Thousands of inhabitants of the Earth are eagerly awaiting our visible appearance. For you have great reason to believe that we can accomplish what you call a miracle. We want it to be understood very clearly that we have nothing in common with charlatans who would have to prove the reality of its existence. Each gesture ours is designed in a very specific plan. I speak for all of us who are committed in this rather thankless task of giving assistance to the beleaguered inhabitants of Shan. Planet the Earth is, in many ways, surrounded by the forces of evil. It would be a great relief to us under etheric forms that we can use. We could land simultaneously in all parts of the globe, putting an end to the absurd discord and irreconcilable hatreds that override the common effort for peace. The instructions we received and our principles prevent us, however, to do so. A prior resolution adopted by the people of the Earth must precede our massive arrival on the scene. Ask and receive. Only then our higher powers, beyond those that you currently have, may be used. Yes, I think in fact the H-bomb and other terribly dangerous explosives. It's one thing to manufacture and to blow up these devices, but where is the mortal who solved the problem of avoiding such explosions or reduce its effect to nothing? Such a person does not exist in Shan Planet. How dare they then release a force of such magnitude without having the slightest idea of how to control it? Only a children's intellect can conceive as foolish procedure. It has at least seriously observed the results of the phenomena in the vast field of nature? A large number of intelligent enough mortals continually sets in motion waves of thoughts and destructive feelings. These disturbing vibrations travel long distances and continuously cause unrest in the ether. Do you think that these dissensions generated by you and millions of us fellow men have no effect on inanimate forces? Space Patrol, faithful to the universal laws. What you call disease does not exist, so to speak, in our planets, because we have already eliminated their causes. Once these desires and these harmful actions, so heavily loaded, spread the visible and invisible realms, the causes of war, how do you expect those responsible to escape the terror and the consequences? What I want to make clear is that we, the spacemen, whatever the way in which we can temporarily serve, we are committed, the most solemn oath, to keep the universal laws, solely responsible for the preservation of life at all levels consciousness. A deviation of these fixed and immutable laws equivalent to the loss of privileges we have achieved with our unremitting efforts. But I would like to give some advice to you, to shape as much as possible his life according to the teachings of him who went down to contact mortals, through a physical manifestation. As a friend and collaborator of you, the King of Kings of the service, which acts from above, we salute you and strive to free them from those who seek to oppress them and submit them to the destructive regime of domination. We come as liberators or defenders to start a series of revelations about what will happen with the activity of those who are trapped in a cage of flesh and that will be its members on the earth plane. It is necessary that you understand that your cosmic friends have implementing bodies, bodies that may be present in various forms as water can manifest itself in the vapor state, snow or ice, in the natural or artificial atmospheric conditions. This is what allows us to help mortals. As you sometimes forget, the war violently triggers in the astral planes, simultaneously with its expansion on the earth plane. The fact that so many men were killed, but continue to live on the astral plane with the same goals and desires, will make you understand the difficulty of our task. Currently, thousands of souls seek to follow the path of spiritual evolution. If we do not intervene, they will be condemned to be dragged to the descendants' paths that lead to misery and degradation. It will not be worth fighting for several months in a desperate conflict between darkness and light, between hatred and superhuman courage, to ensure today's men the chance to continue his spiritual evolution. I affirm that victory does not depend at all on material advantage or a higher number of weapons that lead the wise to think that had a deep knowledge in who organized the secret power of the cosmic energy. I must say that is not so. By an act of God, as mortals never seen until today, a quick and irrefutable conclusion will put an end to it. The planet of you deposit your trust in the only power that can free him of his impending fate, because it is not in the power of no earthly head in order in all the earth. The consent imposed by fear or by force is worthless in the face of cold logic and deep loyalty to the higher conceptions. The dark forces trying to exert control. A long and arduous campaign was waged against the dark forces, who run the invisible, reaching land inhabitants and without being they perceived, the pervert, establishing their ingenious duties of a diabolical evil in order to subject them to more objects' slavery under its single command. As a beneficial consequence of this uninterrupted campaign on the astral plane, directed against the dark forces and perverted hordes of mortals, it became now possible to transfer this battle to the visible physical realm, where humans can more effectively defend themselves and where the results are more tangible. This cannot occur without physical discomfort and painlessly, but the victory will be obtained. Mortals must pass their tests. What matters the suffering of a good number of you during this final stage of the transformation of the world, since all that remain fair and firm in any field in which they are, will understand after they provided an invaluable service to the Master and his legions welcome conquering space? They will thus allowing these legions go through the impenetrable density of the Earth's etheric envelope to bring triumph and force the power's friend's Shan planet. It will operate then a quick change in the surface of the Earth and its inhabitants. Every hour, the very powers of evil unveil their designs, and these revelations will lead humans to a quick decision, to break down the false laws, replacing them with true concepts of constructive action. Thus, our presence and our designs have no other purpose than to come to the aid of you, for your guardians invisibles are very concerned about the state of the planet Shan. We are 10 million spacemen, lavishly equipped with forces of etheric nature, in order to oppose the intentions of destructive forces, making harmless their means. We know which regions of the Earth that are doomed to destruction, and soon to appear a danger. We will send these various places thousands of Ventilo flying saucers. To give you an idea of how you are protected, you could cite numerous facts which premeditated sabotages were prevented thanks to the vigilance of our men. If you have not produced the atomic disintegration chain, it is not because their wise know how to use atoms, it is because we have taken special care to purify the atmosphere through ball chemicals after each atomic explosion. Our means of telepathic communication and visual observation, which include every person and every place on Earth, are beyond the current understanding of you. The promises, so often repeated, that those who deposited their trust in God will be protected, are perfectly accurate. Invitation to experience the delights of the New Age. Our appearance in a physical form or materialization of our naves depends on the instructions we receive from bases that are far above the stratosphere U. These instructions are determined largely by the events and the human reactions. Other factors also play a role, such as magnetic planetary influence, astral conditions, special vibrations from the concentrated forces inside the globe, or regions where humans awaken to the danger and make desperate attempts to get rid of it. These latter considerations are perhaps the most powerful element that takes our strength to them. But they themselves, humans, should try to gain their freedom before we can come to your aid. We are coming as liberators, and we hope instructions for a more enjoyable task. We can then freely mingle with you, starting them in so many delights and good number of privileges that we have. They want you on their own collaboration. Hasten that happy day? We hope so. You want to believe firmly in our existence, as well as in our impersonal and disinterested desire to serve them? The sooner these two factors are accepted by men in general, faster and more easily we can achieve our goal and fewer lives will be lost. They are rushing in to save all souls who want to adapt to the changes required by the glorious New Age. Some of you will be removed from the planet in order to help for some time on the invisible planes, like thousands currently do. Honor those who, by divinely inspired intuition, can capture the true meaning of our mission. Any effort on our part to get whatever the values of your planet Shan would be unforgivably vile, given that a large part of the inhabitants of your planet is in the unfortunate situation of poverty and malnutrition. We intend to expand their resources, not diminish them. The contrast is between the harmonious conditions of our own planets and chaotic disorder that exists everywhere where we see life as it is lived on the planet Shan is extremely painful to watch. I must say that the inability to all, except to a handful of men, to be able to capture at least a fleeting vision of message spiritual master, that would have freed from all bondage material, is a blindness that filled our hearts with anguish as the possibility to save the earth from total destruction. We watch our observation posts in space, lost all hope of seeing the planet Shan escape his death. As far as we are concerned, we had resolved to forget the earth of you. But for your salvages it was different. To those who believed in him, he made a sacred promise that he would return to them. So this dark world will be illuminated by him, despite all the efforts of the forces of evil to prevent this happening. We are confident that this promise will be fulfilled and we will submit ourselves entirely to the supreme direction of invisible Savior of you. He will not come in the flesh to assist them. Volunteers are being watched. Whether this assistance reaches visibly through starships, whose crew consists of powerful beings, showing their authority by the use of unknown mortals' forces, whether this aid comes in mysterious and invisible means, it is certain, however, that men and women who fulfill the missions for which they were born on earth will receive all that is necessary to ensure its success and to play the role destined for them. No one is able to assess the fair value, patience and wonderful indulgence with which God supports the fragility of humans. No one is able to measure their disappointment when they refuse to accept his forgiveness and his mercy. All that is happening, and destructive nature, is the result of free choice of man to connect to the path of retrogression that leads to oblivion. These retrograde beings cannot exist in the new world that currently creates. In the coming years there will be miracles that will take you to a review of his views on the nature and its metamorphosis. It is inevitable in an era of purification, you well know, before you can establish a more perfect system. There are ways to make it less painful. Such purification and disposal of such waste disquieting, although in different parts of the globe only a full scan did disappear any vestige of the old abominations and their waste. There are, however, numerous instances where certain efforts are carried out by individuals, groups or movements for a reform worthy of the new age, efforts to prevent such radical measures. We crossed the end-to-end countries. We found a crowd of people of integrity, generous and open-minded. We note each. We observed them at home, in business, at work, distractions, wealth and misery, in happy time and occasion woes. At all times they were calm, full of resources, giving courage and strength to the fearful and weak. We thank God that they exist. There are men who consider us as destroyers. Reflect, then, for a moment, and think of all that makes them anxious, frightened, unhappy and worried. The weather, ocean tides to the air you breathe, the food we absorb, the very land on which you walk, affect human relationships, businesses, governments, trade, society in general, for its magnetism is loaded harmfulness. All these things will be renewed. At the time, no effort must be made to communicate with us, except after a special request hour. We ourselves will choose the time, place and the person with whom we wish to keep in touch. However, it would be a great help if you wanted to keep, for us, friendly feelings and reliable and welcome thoughts. Our fine forces thus in atmosphere well suited to their work, because they need these fields of light to land and rest for a while in order to adapt to the conditions and vibrations that find to fulfill their mission. We know each of you and we know the sympathy that you witness to our mission, and we wanted to let you know the help that is for us to have bright avenues that will allow us to achieve the darkest regions where they must perform as much work. We are deeply recognized you for your understanding and for your benevolence. Ashtar, Commander of Spaceman Fleet.